Some months ago, a German television team contacted me because they had heard about my science challenge and had found a physicist at Georgetown University I could debate. They also wanted to make it as easy on the scientist as possible, so their idea was simple. They would record me on video, reading 5 quick science-based questions, and then send that recording over to Georgetown, and he would respond in kind. This is what I read on camera. 1. Long-distance photography. The mainstream science formula for the curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared. An easy comparison would be the falling rate of 32 feet per second. So 8 inches per mile per mile. 2 miles is 2 times 2 equals 4 times 8 inches or 32. 3 miles is 3 times 3 equals 9 times 8 or 72. And so on. At 50 miles, the curvature is 50 times 50 times 8, coming in at over 1,600 feet of curvature. And yet, with HD cameras, we can pull boats back into frame that are well beyond visual range. Not only does the new technology clearly show that it's not a mirage, but the same objects can be viewed in infrared and can be targeted ship to ship by beam radar. Can science explain this? They had no answer. Number 2, vacuum versus gravity. The force of a vacuum is measured in units of torr, T-O-R-R. Even a low-level vacuum can overcome gravity here on the surface. In building molecule-free chambers for the manufacturing of electronics, a series of massive pumps are needed to create a 99% vacuum. That's -9 torr. And for the remaining 1%, horsepower isn't enough. It can only be achieved by a chemical leaching process. That being said, how is the -10 torr vacuum force of space not ripping off the atmosphere of this world? What is gravity? And remember that there are gases that already defy it, like helium, hydrogen, and fluorocarbons. Isn't it more logical to suggest that the atmosphere is being contained in an enclosed, pressurized system? They had no answer. Number 3, eclipse shadow. Mainstream science tells us that the moon is over 2,000 miles wide, and yet during the 2017 American eclipse, no offense, the moon's shadow was only 70 miles wide, a reduction of over 97%. This is what the equivalent of having a 6-foot man walking in front of a wall where his shadow is smaller than an action figure at only 2 inches. Where do we see this in our everyday lives? We've seen a shadow's actual size and some much larger. Where can we see small shadows? The Flat Earth community says that the moon is less than 50 miles wide, much closer and the same size as the sun. Isn't this explanation also possible? They had no answer. Number 4, moon temperature. Science has yet to address this relatively new discovery that the moon generates a cold light. We all know that in the daytime it is 90 degrees in the sunlight, 80 degrees in the shade, depending on conditions. I know I'm not going to do the Celsius conversion up here, sorry. However, at night, especially when the moon is high in the sky, we see the opposite. While it might be 50 degrees in the moonlight, it's warmer at 60 degrees in the moon's shade, sometimes showing temperature shifts of over 13 degrees Fahrenheit. In addition, under controlled experiment conditions, magnified moonlight is even colder still, again, the opposite of sunlight. We can generate this with technology today using a cold laser. The question is, why is the moon giving off a cold laser light? They had no answer. Last but not least, the Van Allen belts. A simple yes or no question. Are the Van Allen radiation belts deadly? If yes, then how did Apollo 11 through 17 make round trips through these belts with only aluminum and plastic as shielding? No one died, no one got radiation poisoning, nobody even got cancer. I think there's still like 5 left. Radiation is only stopped by 2 metals, lead and gold. Both are very heavy and cannot be used in aerospace because of their weight. If the answer is no, the belts are not deadly, then explain the video currently on the NASA.gov website called Orion Trial by Fire, in which NASA clearly states that the belts are so dangerous they will not be testing manned capsules because they are unable to solve the radiation problem. Keep in mind, this is not an old video. It was created at the end of 2014. The scientist viewed my recording and folded like a card table. This piece was never aired. All that being said, my name is Mark Kendall Sargent, and I'm a flat earther.